So here we are at the introduction page of our project named Helping Disabled as a Service. So what we aim to do with this service is to create a service with multiple sub-services which will be complementing the already present solutions for helping the disabled. In this project, we'll be using various domains such as engineering. We actually use physics and maths for one of the sub-services. We used web development, that is Flask, to make this into a service. And we did not implement these, but the entire project would be complete only with robotics and electronics. So getting into services. The first one is a tip-off service. Now we have seen many people use wheelchairs on slopes, but it's never possible to determine whether the slope is safe to use or not. Hence, with the help of sensors, we try to get the distance between the wheelchair and the slope. And using these data, we feed them into the service, such as X, Y, and type. Where X is the distance between the flat floor and the sensor, which can be hard-coded because it will be constant all the time. And Y is the data received from the sensor, that is the distance between the sensor and the slope. And type can have two types, that is without assistant and assistant. We had to split it into two because as per ADS standards, the two values have different slope angles. And doing so will give us a return of either true or false, whether the slope is safe to climb or not. The next service is text to braille. With this service, we intend to convert any text with or without spaces into braille format. And in this, we'll be getting our return statement, that is our output, as a list of 6 length strings, where each character of the string will either be a 0 or 1. 0 standing for flat surface and 1 standing for elevated braille. And each index of the string will also correspond to a particular braille on the mechanical braille. And this was one of the sub-services we planned on implementing, but we ran into quite a few problems, so we couldn't do it. That is the speech-to-text service. Now, how is this any different from any previously existing speech-to-text? Is that this is a service and it will be simple to use. Getting into using the service. Entering localhost port 5000 when the server is running, that is main.py is running, we'll be reaching the home page of the service, which contains a clean documentation for the service. Reading this, a person should be able to use our service. Going into the first service, that's a tip-off service. Now here we see that the distance between the floor and the sensor is 5, which is the hard-coded one, and the distance between the sensor and the slope is 3, which is returned by the sensor. And without assistant stands for WA, and it says that this slope is not safe to climb over. The next service is text to braille. And here we see a list with 6 length strings, each 1 or 0, and each of these correspond to a location on the braille. Now let me explain how these locations on the braille happen. Now we have the string as 1 0 1 0 0 1, which is a 6th length string, and in a 2 by 3 matrix, we'll be having it as 1 0 1 0 0 1, and we plan on making a mechanical braille is something like this, which has brailles connected to pistons. And when this index corresponds to 1, this braille will move up, and this, and this. This way we're creating a dynamic feedback loop for the blind to be able to read text in any place at any time. Along with this, we also created an external application, which was a given idea by one of the judges in round 1. To execute the external app, external.py. here we see do not climb the slope, do not climb the slope. What this actually means is that in case if I open the code for external py, here we can see that I've given a range. Why I've given a range is that in a real case scenario, we'll be having a sensor which will continuously keep feeding our service data. So instead of giving a range, we could make a while loop, and we could get the value of x from some sensor method and pass it on to the service. Next, we use web scraping in order to get the contents of the website, and we split it to get the first, in order to get the first word, that is. Yeah, we're trying to get this word right here. And in case if the first word is a false, we'll be beeping it 3 times to make sure that the person heard it and that this slope is not safe to climb. Else, it'll just let the person go. And we could also make such that in case if it's false, the wheelchair will stop this, stop the wheels through a method called stop wheels method. As I said before, we have not implemented any of the sensors or the robotics. With that, I'll be concluding this project. Thank you.